Will the Blues ever win 3 games in a row? I don't know. Let's talk about it.
Hey, this is Brayden Schenn. Subscribe to Lock On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to Locked On Blues. Today is Monday, January 20th, and I'm Haley Taylor Simon, your host of Locked On Blues, here on the Locked On Podcast Network, talking to you about the St. Louis Blues 5 days a week. On today's episode, I'm going to talk to you about the Blues not being able to get that win over the Utah Hockey Club, which results in them not finally almost getting that 3-win streak. Didn't get it. We'll talk about it. We need to talk about Captain Brayden Schenn. And of course, we're getting closer to 4 Nations. And I want to talk a little bit in more detail about the talent that we have on this team with Colton Parayko and, of course, in net, Jordan Binnington. Before I dive deeper into anything, from the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. As I said, I hope you all had a good weekend. But for the St. Louis Blues, well, things were not treading in that direction. We did talk previously about the 2 wins the Blues had over the Flames. It was a huge 4 points. However, with the Blues taking on another Central Division team, I know the Flames are not. I'm just saying, like, they're Western, so it mattered because of the wild card. Anyways, the Blues ended up losing 5-3 to the Utah Hockey Club. Now, I have to say, it was a little bit of a frustrating situation. I mean, it wasn't 5-3. It was 4-2. You know, it was 5-3 actually. It was the preseason game, and I was thinking about that because in my notes I have like a Google chart of all the times the teams play each other, and I do preseason too. So yeah, it was a 4-2 loss, still a loss. So let's talk about it because hometown boy Clayton Keller did do a good job, I would say, for Utah. A little frustrating, but anyways, let's talk about it. In the first period, 2 minutes in, with a great feed from Sonny, Tyler Tucker, yes, Tyler Tucker, was able to give the Blues a 1-0 lead. Now, Tyler Tucker is one of those players where you know how I feel about him. Do I think he's good enough to be in the NHL? I don't know. That's questionable, right? However, the past couple games, I feel like I have seen strides of improvement, so I have been really happy in that sense. However, I still don't think that he's up to the same caliber as as other players. I don't know why I said that like that. Anyways, unfortunately, after Tucker's goal, Utah was able to score 3 goals in like 4 minutes. And yes, it was huge. I'll tell you why it was big. Second period, Jakey Neighbor scores on the power play, which is a positive because it's the power play. So the Blues are able to cut the 2-goal deficit down to 1. However, Logan Cooley ends up scoring at the 10-minute mark, and that was the final goal. But what makes this game so impressive is that Clayton Keller, had the assist on 3 goals, and the only goal that he didn't have an assist on, that was the goal that he scored. So it was a huge night for Clayton Keller. I mean, he has a goal, he has 3 assists, and boom. And personally, this game couldn't have gone any worse for the Blues. The Blues, and I will say this, that they didn't do much good. But when I was watching the game, I did notice that there were at least strides of improvement in a sense. I'm not saying that it was phenomenal hockey, right? But I do think some of the problem too that the Blues had was just in general penalties, right? They also just did not do a good job about kind of not having Utah get the puck. There was a giveaway from Robert Thomas, which led to Clayton Keller scoring, which was not good. But I mean, the team itself just began kind of playing sloppy. And I feel like, again, and maybe I'm repeating myself, but Ryan Suter had a good game, I believe. I don't know. I'm a big fan of Suter, and I also think that Cam Fowler had a good game. But we do need to talk about this, though, that the Blues have yet to go on a winning streak. And I know what you're thinking, Hale. Aren't they still kind of like in, the competition for the second wild card spot at the moment? And yeah, that's true. But I also just kind of feel like they need to hold their own and they haven't been able to do that. I don't know. This is like a very frustrating situation for the Blues. They have really good, games against the Flames. Do I think the Flames are better than Utah? Absolutely. But I mean, and not for nothing, too. Losing to Utah in the preseason, that's different. It was a lot of our guys that, were prospects. It wasn't like we had a bunch of, guys. And I don't think any of the guys that are on the team were actually in the game. It was a bunch of prospects like Simon Robertson. But you need to play more aggressive hockey, knowing that you have a team like the VGK that the Blues are playing tonight. And that's the other thing, too, is that you're playing much better teams. Like Vegas is one of the best teams right now. And the Blues do have a 3-2 lead, by the way, on Vegas at the moment. But the reason why I say that is, and it's not a disrespect to Utah, but those are the points that you need. And I'm not saying that there's certain games that you're expecting to get a certain amount of points out of, right? Like against Utah, you should be going in expecting to get all 2 points. However, you left Utah with no points. And it's kind of like the same thing too with like when the Blues lost both games to the Flyers, who were then when the Blues split the series with the Islanders. The point is that the Blues seem to not pick up points against teams where I'm not saying it's easy to get the points, but it's definitely not as challenging as some of these other teams and some of the better teams. So I know that, them not having a win streak doesn't mean anything. I get where you're coming from. However, I do want to remind you that we are still in the race to the playoffs, right? I know it's January, but it's never too early to look ahead. And for the Blues, not a good situation. You have the Canucks who have 50 points, right? You have the Flames who are in that second wildcard spot with 51 points, and the Avalanche have 57 points now. Blues have 48 points. Well, who's right behind the Blues? The Utah Hockey Club with 45 points. Yes, the Blues are an above 500 team. While that is nice and dandy and spiffy and all, it's still not good enough. I mean, the differential right now for the Blues is 6, right? Is it possible for them to catch up? Absolutely. There's plenty of time to do so. But until this team begins playing at a much better rate, they're not going to get it. I really believe almost every team in the NHL has had like a winning streak more than just, you can't even call it a streak, than just 2 wins. But that's the position that the Blues are in. And at the end of the day, this team did it to themselves. They play really competitive hockey in one game. And then the next game, they're unable to maintain that same level of competitiveness. And I don't know if that's something that you notice when you're watching the Blues. But after you beat the Flames, right, especially that second game, Joel Hofer's a net against Dustin Wolf. It's a great game for the Blues. You don't show up against Utah. Yes, some bad calls can be made, and I get that, but you still didn't show up. And that's the issue. You need to take on the teams that maybe are not as good as a better team. When I was talking with, who was I talking to? Oh, I was talking to Matt Dumba about a week ago, right? About the Central Division, right? He's now on Dallas. I'm so used to him being on Minnesota. That's why I was like, oh my gosh. He even said how competitive the Central is and how it's close competition. And that's true. And I think that the Central Division is the best division in the NHL at the moment. I do. I really do believe that. I've been saying that all season. However, it comes to the point where the Blues need to realize that Utah is a bigger threat than they're making them out to be. Utah has a lot of talent, and they're only 3 points behind the Blues. So 4 games behind the Blues. Not 4 games, 2 games behind the Blues. So the Blues really need to get their act together because Utah is going to end up surpassing them. I don't know. I'm just very frustrated after that loss. But you know what doesn't make me frustrated? My friends over at FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. That's $300 to keep the action going. The FanDuel app is easy to navigate, and the variety of bets keeps every game exciting. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. No waiting around for your winnings, whether you're betting on your favorite team or just looking to add some extra excitement for the playoffs, FanDuel has you covered. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $300 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make the playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. So, anyways, I want to talk to you about Brayden Schenn because I feel like we haven't talked much about the captain lately. And I feel like here's the thing, right? And sorry, I thought there was a trade that almost went down the NHL. It was a fake mock trade, a notification. I was like, anyways, let's talk about it because Captain Brayden Schenn, we haven't talked much about him, and I want to. This season, I feel like for whatever reason, Brayden Schenn has just been a little bit underrated, right? We don't talk much about him. There hasn't been, much that he's done. But in this game against the VGK, he has already scored a goal, which is really good. And then if you take a look at the last few games, right? He had 2 goals against the Flames on Thursday. He had a goal against the Flames on he had an assist against the Flames on Tuesday. Nothing against the Blue Jackets, but then against Anaheim last Thursday, not this Thursday, but the last one, he had 2 goals. So that's really good actually for how he's done. So far this season, okay, he's played 47 games, so all 47 games, right? He's had 10 goals and 18 assists, 37 penalty minutes. But he's had 2 power play goals, which is awesome, and 2 power play assists, and he's had 4 game-winning goals. So I would say for the captain, he's doing a pretty good job. But if you want to break down just in January, right? He's played in the 8 games in January with 4 goals and 4 assists and 8 points. So, hey, I'll give him that where credit is due. He has been playing decent hockey, especially now. So, anyways, this season, however, he is projected to play in all 82 games. The stats are saying that he should be scoring 17 goals and 31 assists, giving him 49 points. But here's the thing, right? There is still, it's a little bit less than half, but a lot of season left, right? And I'm not doubting in any sense that he can do it. I mean, it's 7 more goals and then about 19 more assists. And I'm sure he can do that. But recently, I feel like he has just been on this heater, which I have wanted to see. Sometimes I feel like Brayden Schenn is a little bit quiet on the ice. I speak to Brayden Schenn. He does the intro for this video. He's one of my favorite hockey players on the Blues currently. I love him. But I think that sometimes on the ice, he kind of disappears sometimes. But again, I think him centering that second line is a huge, huge, huge thing. Okay. And I know that I said that, prior to the season, that it was a big mistake not to have him centering that second line just because I feel like that's where he does best is playing as center. and not on a wing position. I don't like that for him. But I feel like recently, and maybe it's been since the Winter Classic, I don't know what kind of kicked into him, but he has been playing this unbelievable game of hockey, and his leadership on the ice, it's very present and very known. So I don't know if that's something that you have noticed as well, but I feel like he is a little bit underrated. But Brayden Schenn is about to have a huge milestone come up soon. Brayden Schenn has played 987 games, right? Well, that is 13 games away from having his 1000th NHL game. So if Brayden Schenn, right, as I said, 13 games away, we all know it's going to happen this season. He is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And it would be home March 1st against the Kings at 8 p.m. So, which actually comes at a really good time because then the Blues end up going. Oh my gosh, wait. There must be some event being held at Enterprise or something because this is not a normal schedule. The Blues in March have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A 6-game road trip. I don't like that. That's weird to me. There must be some. The NHL schedule this season, by the way, I have to tell you, like, separate from the podcast, it sucks. But yeah, March 1st against the Kings is projected to be Brayden Schenn's 1000th NHL game before the guys go on the road for about 6 games. So that should be a monumental thing. But in his career, just so you know, he's had a pretty good career, right? 270 goals, 393 assists, and 663 points. He's had 92 power play goals. He's had 110 power play assists. However, he's only ever had one shorthanded goal and no shorthanded assists. And he's had in his his entire career, by the way, he has had 59 game-winning goals. And his ice time, I have to tell you, it's very like to a T. This season right now, it is about 17 minutes and 38 seconds. And then when the average at his entire career, it's 17 minutes and 30 seconds. So he's consistent on that. But I thought that was a really big thing to bring up because, again, he is our captain. And it sucks. I don't want the captaincy and the legacy of Brayden Schenn to be, oh, this was the captain, the first captain in Blues history that never, went to the playoffs. I don't want that to be his legacy. And sometimes I get a little bit nervous, a little bit apprehensive that could end up being his legacy. So for me, as a fan, as somebody that really does love how he is in the locker room, I've seen him in the locker room, I've been in the Blues locker room, I know what goes on. I really want him to be able to achieve taking this team to the playoffs because his leadership is something special. He may not be the most vocal guy on the ice, as I said, but he does put his all into wearing the blue note. And I think that, from a fan perspective, that's what you want in a captain, someone who's able to lead a team. And he's a selfless type of player, and this is kind of like how I view Robert Thomas in a way, where Thomas is really big on setting up plays and making things happen this season. And I'm happy that he's doing this. He's playing a little bit more selfishly, which is a good thing, right? However, I think that's kind of the style that Brayden Schenn plays, that not that he's selfish, but he's team first before him. And that's what makes a good captain, I have to tell you. So yeah, essentially this whole entire segment was just giving kudos to Captain Brayden Schenn. I mean, after he got that goal tonight against the VGK, I just had to commend him because I truly do believe he is the definition of what a St. Louis Blues player should be. But I do want to talk to you. I have so many friends I want to talk to you about, but tonight I want to talk to you about my friends at Select Quote. In sports, having a winning strategy is everything. It's how the best teams make it to the Super Bowl, the World Series, and the Olympics. The same goes for life, and having a strategy like life insurance from Select Quote can protect your financial legacy and keep your family's future secure. Select Quote makes it easy to find the perfect life insurance policy as one of America's leading insurance brokers with nearly 40 years of experience. They've helped over 2 million customers find $700 billion in coverage since 1985. What Select Quotes is a What sets Select Quotes apart is their personal touch. Unlike other brokers that offer one size fits all policies, their licensed agents tailor coverage to your fit and your unique needs. If you're not in good health, you might want to qualify for the same day coverage up to 5 million, no medical exam required. And it's more affordable than you think. You can get up to 1 million in coverage for as little as $20 a month. Get the right life insurance for you for less at selectquote.com/lockedonnhl. Just go to selectquote.com/lockedonnhl today to get started. That's selectquote.com/lockedonnhl. Select Quote, they shop, you save. Four Nation Face Off is coming up very soon. And I am very excited for Colton Parayko and Jordan Binnington of Team Canada. Listen, I understand that Robert Thomas should have been on that lineup, that roster. I get it. I'm upset too, but then he got hurt, so he wasn't, right? Not that they're officially saying that. However, that's just as my theory. But I think that this is a really good thing, confidence-wise, for Binner and for Parayko, and I'll tell you why. The number one problem with the Blues, right, is the defense. Well, Colton Parayko obviously made the roster because he's a great defenseman. And I feel like for Binner, he's had not the best season stat-wise, but it's not because of how he is in net. I truly believe it's because of the defense and the problems that they have. I think playing on a team with such a loaded roster, right, is going to give him the confidence that he needs. I think for the Blues, that they really need to attack this offseason, getting good quality young defensemen. And I think that will help them succeed because the thing is, you're not going to find a better goalie in the NHL right now than Jordan Binnington. You're not. If he was on a team like the Panthers, or even Dallas, he would be considered to be one of the most elite goalies. But it's crazy because his rookie season, he won the Stanley Cup, but because that was, years, ago, people tend to forget about it. And because the Blues were never really a contending team since then, people kind of just were like, oh, it was a one-time thing. But I do believe for Colton Parayko that he doesn't get talked about enough, again, because everybody always says the number one problem with the Blues is the defense. And because Colton Parayko is a defenseman, he gets kind of looped into that. So I think that for me personally, I would really love to see them both thrive and play some good hockey at the Four Nation face-off, just because I think overall there's no harm that can be done. It's going to help. It's going to give them benefits in every way possible, right? So again, let me know what you think about this, okay? Because I really do believe that this is a positive for the Blues. And on that note, I will talk to you tomorrow. And like always, let's go Blues.